What's up, Dragon Brood? It is Saturday, January 17th. This is our 13th installment of the Kaldheim preview reviews, and as we've seen previously on the weekends, there's not a lot to cover, so we only have 6 cards today that have been previewed, so I'm going to go ahead and cover all of them, because why not? Also, if you haven't, please like this video so more people can get to see my previews as I'm rolling these all out, and then hit the subscribe button and help us reach our 10,000 subscribers by February 1st. We are now inside of, I believe, 130, so we're getting really, really close, and you can help. But anyway, let's talk about the 6 cards we have available from Kaldheim today. First one up is Skull Raid. It is 3 colorless and a black for a sorcery. Target opponent discards 2 cards. If fewer than 2 cards were discarded this way, you draw cards equal to the difference. It has a foretell cost of 1 colorless and 1 black. There's a lot to like about this card. I mean, it is just a discard card, and we do have cards that are 3 mana to make your opponent discard 2. One of the problems with discard stuff, though, is if your deck's working and you've made your opponent discard everything and they're basically top decking, well, your discard cards you draw later kind of suck. They don't really do anything. You know, if your opponent doesn't have any cards in hand, the rest is kind of pointless. But in this case, it could be pay 4 to draw 2 cards. Or maybe you cast a creature and then you set this aside with Foretell, and then maybe you cast this next turn and something. Right? You get a lot more flexibility out of it. Now, will it replace some of the other cards I would play for discard options? Don't know. I mean, obviously something that's 1 mana like Duress you're always going to play, but when you're looking at something that's maybe in the 3 or 4 mana slot, this might actually take precedent. Demonic Gifts. 1 colorless and a black, instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +2/+0. and gains when this creature dies, returns to the battlefield under its owner's control. I feel like we always have some version of this card available all the time. You know, get some bonus between 1 and 3 when the creature dies, comes back. It is an instant, which I like, but beyond that, I don't know if it really has a bunch of constructed play, except in a couple of instances where maybe you're playing a deck with a lot of enter the battlefield triggers. This could be played alongside the Malakir, whatever, the 1 mana one that can also be a land. That's probably something in there where you could play 6 to 7 copies between those and really probably do something. But outside of a very specific build, I'm not sure this is going to be the card a lot of us are looking for. Next up, Graven Lore. 3 colorless, blue for a snow instant rare. So you scry X, where X is the amount of snow mana spent to cast this spell, then draw 3 cards. This card's pretty damn good. Again, you know, you're going to be playing snow stuff. There's no really drawback to not playing it. So to playing it. So you go ahead and do it. But in this case, it's like you pay 5, which I'm assuming is going to be either all snow or mostly snow. We'll assume 4 or 5. So you get to scry that many cards. And then you get to draw 3, not even draw 2. So you could basically get the best of 5 cards and or additional cards if those are junk. Like, this is a really good card. And it's an instant. I would almost expect this card to be a sorcery, so I'm a little surprised that it's an instant, really. This card's really good. Like, even if you weren't playing snow stuff, just 5 to draw 3 isn't terrible on its face. So even if you were just, for some reason, splashing some snow lands to do a couple things, or you felt the need to play a lot of non-snow, non-basics, that would probably be fine too. I mean, this card overall is really good. So I'd expect anything that's playing blue, Teamer, whatever, in snow is probably going to play this card. The Blood Sky, I almost read that as the Bloody Massacre. I was just like, dang, that's a hard name. The Blood Sky Massacre, still not much better, but at least it doesn't sound as bad. Colorless, black-red, for a rare saga. Chapter 1, create a 2/3 red Demon Berserker creature token with Menace. Alright, whenever a Berserker attacks this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. Cool. And then add 1 red for each Berserker you control till end of turn you don't lose mana as steps and phases end. This one's really good. I mean, okay, so worst case scenario, you're paying 3 for a 2/3 with Menace. Like, if nothing else happens, you made a 2/3 blocker with Menace. And that's actually not terrible because there's still a fair amount of things you're going to be able to block on turn 3 that your opponent would have played on 1 or 2. So that's actually okay. But the second part is actually pretty good. Let's say you went turn 1 creature, because I mean, there's a lot of Berserkers in the set that are low mana. So let's say we can find a way to do 1, 2, maybe even a turn 3, and then you play Blood Sky Massacre on 4. That's actually not bad. And then you go to attack, you draw some extra cards, sure you lose some life, but your opponent's probably in a situation where they either want to trade or chump block on some of those anyway. And then the follow-up is you just get extra mana to spend on whatever you got from the cards the previous turn. So this card's actually pretty well built. And again, does it really have a home? I don't know. We talked about on previous videos. Have no idea if there's going to be enough Berserkers or Berserker payoffs to make it worth it. Maybe we're just playing some of those Berserkers in their appropriate slots in other aggro decks, which sounds more reasonable. But with, if we get another card or two that references Berserkers, something like this, maybe it is a thing. Zvela, Ice Shaper, 1 colorless, green-red, for a 2/4 legendary snow creature troll wizard. You can pay 3 and tap it. Create a colorless snow artifact token named Icy Manalith with the ability to tap and add 1 mana of any color. So this is actually pretty sweet. Grows your mana over time. Pretty neat. And you can pay 6, a green and a red. Tap it. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may cast a spell from among them without paying its mana cost, put the rest in the bottom of your library in a random order. So you kind of spend time building up your mana, then you can pay 8 and then just cast stuff from the top of your library. I actually like this card mostly because if there's some way that you want this in a troll or warrior themed deck of some kind, most likely a warrior deck, getting to play something off the top for free late game is pretty nice. I mean, think about this. We already have seen some versions of like Naya Winota list, right? And we got a new 1-drop that works very well in that type of build. So is it possible you play something like this on 3? Because if nothing else, okay, cool, you just attack with it. It helps smooth your mana out if necessary. But late game, if you're looking for that other Winota or an Embercleave or whatever it is, this can help you find it and get you out of that bad situation. Is it great? Not by any means, but I do think it has some reasonable applications here. I will tell you this, I'm looking to definitely add one of these to my commander deck because 1, being able to build your mana up when you're playing lots of high mana things is really nice. But the other is, again, late game, just getting to play some cards for free off top of your library. Some of them that may even cost 8 or more, or specific colors, actually get bailed out by this card. So I really think it's doing a lot. Even if it doesn't play a lot in constructed 60-card formats, could be a player in Commander. Alright, and our last one for today is Emmersturm Skullcairn. Just a land, enters the battlefield tapped, tap for black. You can pay 1, a black, red, red, tap it, sacrifice it, deals 3 damage to target player. That player also discards a card. Activate this ability only anytime you could cast a sorcery. This is okay. This is okay. I mean, this plays in a way of like, if you just want 1 or 2 in your deck, so late game, you have some damage that your opponents can't counter easily and kind of finish your opponent off. It's really good for that. And that does come up a lot, right? You get your opponent down to some number less than 8 or even less than 6, and you just can't finish, right? But if you have 1 or 2 of these, maybe. You just fire them off and your opponent has to do something other than just sit there and try to counter your threats, right? This is uncounterable damage. They do also discard a card. That's not inconsequential. In general, though, not the card you're going to be looking to play in a lot of these types of lists, but if you're playing a sacrifice type deck already, especially with the dragon we saw from yesterday's preview, by the way, check that out if you haven't. I'm really big on that dragon. But if you're playing a bunch of things that already care about you sacrificing stuff, maybe even Korvold or who knows what else, like this slots into that type of deck perfectly. And you get a bonus in some way for sacrificing something as well. So it does have a home, probably will get played. I don't think any of these lands in the cycle are a 4 of type thing. Maybe the green-white one that adds the counters could potentially be, but I doubt it just because it enters the play tapped. But otherwise, I mean, it's playable. I mean, I can at least say that about it. All right, that's going to do it for today's previews. Remember, if you haven't, please like this video. Hit the subscribe button to help us reach our 10,000 subscribers by February 1st. But even more importantly, we're going to be doing a stream here, I believe next weekend, here on YouTube, and we're going to do one on Twitch. If you want to stay up to date on those details, if you subscribe when I send out a notice, you should get that and be notified to know when those are happening, because that's going to be a chance for you, the viewers, to ask questions about any cards, any deck types, any things I'm thinking about building, anything like that. And then starting, I believe on Friday, I'll be rolling out some deck lists using cards from the set. I'm going to do multiple a day all the way up until the streamer early access event the following Wednesday. So lots of stuff still coming around Kaldheim. There's still lots of stuff we need to look at. Lots of questions that still need to be answered. And I'm sure there's going to be some big reveals as we get into the next week. That's all I have for you for now. We'll see you next time.